You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 278. They promised forever, then left. How to trust again. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. All right, my beautiful brave hearts. How is everyone doing? We have such a special episode today. This is actually something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. Our girl, our Braveheart Holland, has made this a reality. So I have wanted to air an actual coaching session with y'all for forever and have just never made it happen. But in the 5-day training, I did a live coaching on the last day of that training, and both of the individuals who got coached had such a profound realization, and their stories were so powerful that it would be just super beneficial to share here on the podcast, because I feel like it's going to be helpful to other brave hearts to hear that they're not alone in a lot of what we're going through. So I asked both of those individuals if I could share their lessons. And so far we heard back from one of them, Holland, who I'm going to be sharing her session today. And before I do, I'm going to share some key points and takeaways that you're going to want to listen for and know what we're going to cover in the session. Now, before I cover that part though, I do want to mention that the Get Over Your Ex in 3 Months or Less program is officially reopened. So if you are someone who loves the podcast but doesn't feel like you're completely over your ex, or you haven't built your bigger and better life and you want to do it with me and other brave hearts, now is the time to join us. Not the next cohort, not 3 months from now or a year from now, today. Listen, a lot can change in just 3 months, a lot. And I think when people say they want to wait until the next cohort, it feels comfortable. And trust me, I get it. It's scary AF to take a risk on yourself. And I literally just did this with an investment that I made. It's scary. But I'm ready for new results in my life. I'm ready for my next up level, which means I can't keep doing things the way that I have that have gotten me as far as I've been, because I built amazingness, which I'm super proud of, but I'm ready for something new and a new level to be unlocked. We've got to start making some new decisions, doing things different, right? And I actually think back to the beginning of 2024, in a 3-month time frame, I got engaged, married, and pregnant. In 3 months or less. Very on brand for me, right? That is the kind of transformation I'm ready for others to have. Like, let's actually create what you desire. Let's do the dang thing. Stop talking about it, stop thinking about it, and start actually living it and creating it. And there is so much that can happen in 3 months or not. And we have to start recognizing that that is our choice. And like I've always said, and will 100% always say and stand by, Braveheart, is that you can and you will do this regardless of my help. That is not a question for me. But the Get Over Your Ex program and coaching is life-changing. We cut through all of your bullshit so fast. You'll witness it here in today's coaching call. And I think many times we just don't even realize like the level of support inside of the Get Over Your Ex program is available, right? Especially in a breakup, because I think it's hard to know you are missing that level of support because you don't really know it exists. You don't really realize how it will change your journey and the outcome you're creating. And I think, for example, I have a friend that tried to DIY herself through her divorce. We always love a good DIY project, trust me, but that is not something I would recommend. A year later, and several failed attempts later, she finally hired a lawyer and it was done in 3 months. Crazy. Y'all, the emotional turmoil that she could have avoided, the frustration, the anger, the shit I saw her go through, the time, the energy suck. Just hire the help. Right now, I'm working on getting my body back after a C-section. I have lost all of my baby weight postpartum. I'm 4 months postpartum. And why? Because I hired an expert to tell me what to do, when to do it. I'm not spending time scrolling on Pinterest or scouring the internet. I do not have that time. My time is focused on sleep, work, baby. Okay. She tells me what to do, when to do it, and how to implement, and then holds me accountable. That is the Get Over Your Ex program. It's the same thing. It's like a fitness program for your breakup. Bigger, better, faster, more efficient results. And I think what you make a priority to get done will get done, and you need to make this a priority because listen, waking up to what feels like a nightmare is not the way to live. You feeling the same way in 3 months, or maybe just even slightly better, let's say like best case scenario in 3 months you feel slightly better, or you could just have your soulmate already. You could just like actually have that person in your life 3 months from now. And I see people investing in finding the right person, but how many people are investing and letting go of the wrong one? That is so important. Okay, I love you all so fucking much. I'm just ready to go. I'm ready for some strong energy people who are done with the mediocre, who want to do things different, who want to do things that feel impossible to the rest of the world, and I want to go after it. So if that's you, I cannot wait to see you inside of the Get Over Your Ex program. You can go to dorothyabjohnson.com/Get Over Your Ex Celebrate to save your spot. I will link it in the show notes. The price will be increasing, and the deadline to join us is for the cohort of February 21st. So that's the deadline. Afterwards, the price will increase. So without further ado, we're going to talk about Holland's coaching session. Okay. She was in the 5-day training, epic training, by the way. I love my fucking 5-day training. It is literally the best coaching 5-day event out in the world. So we covered 2 primary lessons in her coaching session. The first one was, how will I ever be able to trust again, right? She was engaged, called off engagement. How do you trust again after you've gone through a situation where someone promised the world and then revoked it? We've all been there, whether it was an engagement or just telling you in your relationship, this is going to last forever, right? So we can all resonate. The second thing is dreaming about your ex, right? Daydreaming is what I should say, not dreaming overnight, but daydreaming about your ex and romanticizing things. That's something that she was really struggling with. She felt like it was an unhealthy habit to have. We're going to coach on what she did with it, how she did it, and what's the plan. So I cannot wait for you to witness her coaching. It is going to be so helpful. She's an avid listener of the podcast. And I just think it's such a beautiful thing when a brave heart listens to the podcast and then is able to contribute to the podcast to help other people. That has been my mission in life, is to help you guys heal hearts so that you can go on to help heal the world in your own unique ways. And doing it this way is like delicious AF. All right. I love you all to pieces. Let's fucking go.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. I'm like nervous and I'm also like sad. Like I could feel it through. Yeah.
Right. Well, let's dive in. Tell me how I can help you.
Okay. So kind of 2 parts.
Yeah.
So firstly of just like, how do you trust again? Like, because I'm the one of like, I was engaged and then we kind of like mutually broke up. But then like after we kind of like, we cohabitated and we split, I was quickly like, okay, yeah, I don't like this. Like we can work through it. Like everything is worked throughable because it wasn't toxic. It wasn't a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
So when someone violates kind of like the biggest commitment, I feel like, but then kind of like most importantly, like how do I stop romanticizing, daydreaming about like a grand gesture or a reconciliation? And this kind of got like re-triggered on
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I guess long story short, like I'm going back to stay with my family tomorrow and I'm staying for a month just to kind of like regroup, rest, just be around people that love me.
Yeah.
And I have a trip, like a weekend trip planned in Nashville in March. And so I saw on Facebook, this is the last social media that I can see of my exes is
Mhm.
Facebook. And I log into Facebook, and the first post he posts is quick trip to Nashville, like 3/9 through 3/11. And my trip is 3/7 through 3/9. And so I'm just like, universe, I'm literally in this program. Is this a sign? Is this a test? And the reason why I think it could be a sign is because in 2022, we were living in LA and we split briefly, but it was like he had to travel for work. I was having health problems. I need to go figure my stuff out. He has to figure out his work. We will get back together. We just have to take this time to like focus on our things.
Yeah.
So Nashville was where we kind of accidentally reconnected, where I had already had
Ooh,
and
all
he
the
went for
chills.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm just like the fact that this could be happening again, and then I'm just romanticizing. I'm spiraling in my thoughts. I'm like, do I take more time off work? Like, no, I'm like, bitch, calm down. Like, and nothing happened. And at this point, though, I'm like, ball is in his court. I spent like 3 months fighting for him. Like, and so when he moved to Utah actually in November, and
Mhm.
that was the biggest
Yeah.
like a knife in my heart was, and I
Yeah.
even said, I was like, I would move with you. And he's just like, how can you say that? I said, I'm trying to move on. Like, and he got really upset. So part of me was like, I think you might be questioning things if you're so upset and so defensive and emotional. But yes, anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. Romanticizing, daydreaming. And I try to give myself moments of that instead of just a continuous all day. I'm like thinking about it, kind of like grief.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so if I'm having a grief moment, just kind of allowing whatever comes up. But I don't think it's healthy to be so focused on this.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay. Do we want to talk about that piece first or the trust piece first?
Maybe the trust, because it's like as my little switch is flipping of like, I'm trying to get over my ex. I might be over him. I'm not over him. I'm like, when I feel like the switch is flipped where I'm kind of over him, I'm like, I think I can be open to trusting the right person.
Hmm.
Like logically, I'm like, if it's the right person, you can trust them. But I'm just like, how could I trust them?
Yeah. 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 Okay. So what does trust even mean to you? What is trust?
I I think like reliability, like knowing that you're gonna like follow through with what you say. Like for some reason, like words mean a lot to me, even though
Hmm.
they're just words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, cool. So trust and means reliability. How do you feel when you trust?
Safe.
Hmm. Is there ever a reason not to trust? And here's maybe a better way to ask that question. Is there ever a reason to not feel safe?
Reason to not feel safe. I mean, if it's an unsafe environment,
Okay. How do we know if it's an unsafe environment?
yeah, I guess my nervous system doesn't really know. But I guess if like the person makes me feel seen and heard, but I'm like, my ex did that, and like here I
Mhm.
am. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
Holland. Um, why is it a problem that you trusted someone when you were feeling safe and seen?
I think because now I'm in this situation and I think I feel silly, like I feel foolish. I think
Do you wish you would have done something different?
I mean, nothing aside from I wish in that breakup conversation I would have said we can work through this instead of thinking so black and white. And something you said in a podcast last week, you said my strategy was always exit or something along those lines. And I realized that that's me. If ever anything is uncomfortable, how do I get out of this? How do I just leave? I just need to
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what I was thinking, even though I was like, this is my life partner.
But not trusting someone when you're feeling safe and seen wouldn't have led you to doing that.
Mm,
So
okay.
was it really a problem that you were trusting someone when you felt safe and seen?
I think guess maybe there were underlying things I wasn't, because I'm a romanticizer. Maybe I was just romanticizing the whole thing.
I just think this is really powerful. Hold on, because I think a lot of times trust gets mixed up with like, if I wouldn't have trusted, I wouldn't be in this situation right now. Because ultimately, what your brain is saying is, I shouldn't have trusted in that situation, and then I wouldn't be in the situation I am in now, which is not necessarily the case. Trusting feels good. Trusting does a lot for us. Now, I think there's always like, yeah, we want to stay safe. Like I wouldn't go into the like an alley of a big city where I might get stabbed and tell myself I need to trust these people that I don't know just so that I feel safe. Like, no, I would listen to my nervous system. I would listen to those things. But when we're in safe, healthy, non-toxic relationships, I'm sitting here like, what was wrong with you trusting? And then something out of the ordinary happened. Someone else changed their mind. Someone else is going through their own thing. That doesn't mean you are not supposed to trust. I think you were trusting when it made sense to trust. You may or may not have been in the same situation if you weren't trusting, but I think you'd be in a worse off situation if you didn't trust him,
Yeah.
right? So why do we need to have trust issues moving forward? We haven't done anything wrong. We trusted when we felt safe and seen. We listened to our nervous system. We're going through a breakup because someone else has changed their mind or had, whatever is going on with him. That sucks, but I didn't do anything wrong. So moving forward, is it okay to trust when I'm feeling trusting?
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. Because I think I also believe that when we're going through a breakup or divorce, when you guys are like, I mean, at least for myself, you're questioning everything. And so then you start making problems where there aren't any problems. Half of you, most of you, I should actually just say most of you, have really done nothing wrong. Like, of course, we can recognize we all have pitfalls, we all have stuff we're going to work on. But for the most part, we've done nothing wrong. We're just being mean to ourselves and then making problems up where there aren't actually problems.
Right. And trust is beautiful. It's like I want to be a trusting person. I want
Yes.
somebody.
Yes. So we don't have to like project trust issues into the future. Of course, we're going to trust our next partner because we're going to choose a partner we feel safe and seen with.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we don't need to bring along these trust issues that we're just making up, right? Okay. So let's talk about daydreaming. What's the problem with daydreaming? Why is that a problem to you?
I feel like it sets me back or it keeps me hung up on my ex.
Okay. It sets me back. How does that feel?
Like the daydreaming is nice, but I think though I have this like self-imposed timeline of like,
Hold on. No, 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 no. My question is, how do you feel when you think it sets me back? You also said it's unhealthy, which are like two of the same flavored thoughts. How do you feel? What's a one word emotion for when you're telling yourself, what I'm doing is setting me back, it's unhealthy?
annoyed.
Yeah. So when you feel annoyed, how do you show up and what do you do?
I'm just like irritable, on edge.
Okay. So those are more emotions. When you're feeling annoyed, irritable, on edge, what do you do? Or maybe what are you not doing?
I think maybe like shut myself off from other experiences or opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else?
Um, I don't give myself grace.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Is that like negative self-talk in your mind? Is it beating yourself up?
Yeah, it's like judging myself.
Yeah. What are you not doing when you're feeling annoyed, irritable, or on edge?
Like not reaching out to people who can like listen or talk
Mm.
sense into me.
Yeah. Okay. So you're shutting yourself off from other experiences and opportunities. You're not giving yourself grace, judging yourself, not reaching out. I'm trying to think about when I feel annoyed and irritable. For me, I'm short-tempered and I kind of like get pessimistic when I'm annoyed and irritable. Are you like it kind of reminds me of when I was talking to Sarah about like my bad attitude?
Yeah, the pessimism. That was something
Yeah.
my ex was like, you're so pessimistic. And I'm like, well, I'm logical and I'm reasonable and like
Oh, I love it. Okay, so I shut myself off from other experiences and opportunities. I um, don't give myself grace. I judge myself. I'm not reaching out to people who could listen, and I get like a little pessimistic. Okay, what do you think that results in for you?
I feel like low vibes. Just,
Mhm.
yeah, just
Yeah, I continue to set myself back, and I make sure this is unhealthy. The daydreaming is neutral. Your daydreaming is a neutral thing. It's a neutral circumstance. Falls in the C line of your model, if you remember day one. Daydreaming would fall in the C line of your model. I mean, we could play with it in multiple areas of the model, but right here, right now, today, I want you to recognize what's hurting you is not necessarily the daydreaming, but how you think about your daydreaming. Isn't that fucking crazy?
yeah, that is. Because I always thought it was just me romanticizing and daydreaming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, and again, it's a
Yeah.
problem. I am the problem. You're a Taylor Swift song right now. Okay? You're like, it's me, I'm the problem. It's me, okay? What if you're not the problem? This goes for all of you. Stop making yourself out to be the fucking problem. Okay? Your daydreaming is not the problem. And here's the thing, too. This is very much like when people come to me and they're like, I need to erase my ex from my mind. I want to stop constantly thinking about my ex. The very first step that you have to take is getting okay with the fact that you think about your ex. Because what you resist will persist. So if you're resisting thinking about your ex, if you're resisting daydreaming, if you're resisting romanticizing, you will create more of it. Okay? So you have to start with your thoughts about daydreaming. Now, your thoughts about daydreaming are they're unhealthy, it sets me back, which makes me annoyed at myself, irritable at myself, and then I'm mean to myself, I judge myself, I shut down, I don't do these proactive things, I'm pessimistic, and then it results in I continue to set myself back and I make sure the daydreaming is unhealthy. It's proving yourself correct.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So
So how,
right, what's next? Hold on. Let this land for a second. I
yeah.
need you to see the fact that it's the thoughts about the daydreaming that is the problem. Okay. What are other ways that we can think about daydreaming? When we actually, here's a beautiful example. Kids daydream a lot. What do they daydream about? Do you know? Do you have any ideas? Or maybe when you were a kid, what did you daydream about?
I think
It's
just a bunch of silliness.
it's often confused with imagination, right? Daydreaming reminds me of my imagination. I love daydreaming. I remember daydreaming, you guys, about showing up at my ex's house with an SUV, a security guard, because I was famous. And I would walk up to the house and I'd be like, give me my dog back and do the legally blonde thing. That was my daydream. Okay. I didn't think it was unhealthy. I was like, a fucking course, because I'm gonna be famous and I'm gonna make this such a big deal and I'm gonna like fucking come out of this so much better. Of course, I'm daydreaming about this. So I guess I would question yourself on is it really unhealthy? Why do we daydream if it's unhealthy?
I think it's just like holding out hope that he's going to come back.
Mm,
And that's what doesn't feel healthy. It's like
yeah.
eventually I have to like move on.
Yeah. How long has it been? When did this happen?
See, I'm like, I don't know when to start the timelines because
Mm,
like July, the breakup conversation, end of August, we moved into our own places. November 23rd was when we officially said like bye and he
mhm.
like moved and I wrote a letter and all of that. So I'm like, the grief restarted in November for sure, like
Yeah.
hard kind of
Yeah.
restart.
Yeah. Hmm.
So it was
Okay.
like 6, 7 months
Yeah.
total.
Yeah. So I guess how long do you want to hold out hope?
I kind of, I think, mentally gave myself end of May, like check in with myself, assess, am I ready for like dating apps or how, I don't know how to meet people, but
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so what's the date today?
Yeah, February. I'm just in this limbo still. I don't know, the healing limbo, I guess.
Well, and what if it's, I mean, it's the way you think about it. Like, you can either believe you're in this healing limbo, you're doing something wrong, you shouldn't be wanting your ex back right now, or you can be like, oh my God, I set myself up for success. I said May. I'm going to daydream the fuck out of us getting back together because that's truthfully what I want. Half of you guys try to lie to yourself and say you don't want your ex back. And it's like, no, be fucking honest with yourself. That's why the cover up thoughts aren't working, is because you're lying to yourself versus being like, no, I want my ex back. I have been holding out hope. I love daydreaming. It's so fun to think about these epic things that could happen. And I'm also working on healing. I'm working on building my bigger and better life. And I know that when I get to my bigger and better life, it's not going to fucking matter. So why am I worrying about this? You're
Okay, yeah,
focused on the wrong problem.
they can coexist almost.
Yes, there's two truths can be true at the same time. It's a way to say that. Two things can be true at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, they absolutely coexist because when you try to force one out and you're not ready for it, that's where these things aren't landing. That's where it feels like a positive sticky note over a negative situation. That's where I'm like, yeah, of course we're going to be talking about getting your ex back. And honestly, I want you building your bigger and better life. I want you focused on that because if you're focused on that, you'll get to that place and you won't care if your ex comes back or not. And right now you're like, yes, I would. And it'd be great if I could build an ex that, or build a life that my ex regrets leaving so that my ex comes back. Fucking go for it. Whatever creates your motivation to fucking go. But when you're sitting there thinking like you're the problem, you're doing something wrong, you're holding back your healing, then you just keep staying back here. And I'm like, use whatever motivation you've got, whether it's a good thought, bad thought, whatever the fuck. A lot of my motivation towards healing was I want my ex back. I want him to see how much I've grown. I want him to see that I've done this. And that moved me forward. I'm fucking proud of that version of myself. I'm proud of those thoughts that I had because they moved me forward. Now, by the time I've arrived, I don't care if my ex saw it or not, but I'm like, yeah, bitch, you fucking did. There's no fucking way you can ignore me. I'm amazing. Okay.
Okay.
So, but you've got to use whatever momentum you have to move yourself forward. Don't lie to yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? And you even gave yourself a beautiful deadline of like, you're like, I'm going to reassess in May. Who knows where you're going to be in May? Maybe even May, like you continue on this journey or you don't. I don't know. But you even gave yourself like grace of being like, yeah, I can do this thing. I can do this daydreaming thing until May. And I'm going to
Yeah.
use it to fuel me, not to hinder me. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It
I
does.
know
Yeah.
it feels backwards, you guys. I know it feels backwards and it's like the opposite of what we're taught, but I promise you it's what works. Just acknowledging it. And I think that's why I'm someone who will talk about getting back together with your ex because this whole like, if it didn't work, it's never going to work. Like, you don't know that. There's plenty of people who get back together and then are married and have babies and are happily ever after. I'm not the person who can say that is not going to happen. How do I know? But what I do know is that I want you to be a different person. And I want you to be someone who has gone off, grown, emotionally mature, who's not, dependent on their ex for their emotions and not dependent on their ex or any given person or circumstance to create a life that you love. And when you are that person, you are unattached. And we need more unattached people in the world. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That
Of
helps a lot.
course. So good. I love it. Amazing. Okay. Do you feel complete?
Yes. I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes. Amazing. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.